Hello, everyone. We are here at the Hive, transmitting the Singapore FinTech Festival in association with the Pakistan FinTech Association. You've had the opportunity to listen to some wonderful speakers. A lot of people have given us context as to where Pakistan is currently in the FinTech world and where we are going forward. Our next speaker is also an extremely important person. By that, I mean extremely important in the context of this event and the future of FinTech in Pakistan. He is one of the gentlemen we have to thank for helping us put this together, because he is the co-founder and CEO of Golooto, our title sponsor. He has also worked with a myriad of companies, one of them being, well, something I resonate with, having grown up at that era, MTV. But that is probably not the highest profile project he has worked on. What he has done that does stand on his resume, he has not one, not he has a triple major in economics, computer science, and math. So you can well imagine the wealth of knowledge that is about to be shared with us. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Ali Muruani, CEO of Golooto.
Thank you so much, and for those kind words. I don't deserve a lot of those, but I really appreciate it. It's life is only a journey, and it's quite a journey from MTV to doing a FinTech in Pakistan. So I'm honored, and thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So the first line, published in a report by the World Bank earlier this year, stated that financial inclusion starts with payments. They serve as a gateway to other financial services, such as savings, credit, and insurance. However, I would argue that financial inclusion starts with retail payments, and retail payments in particular. Retail is the heart of the local economy. For Pakistan, it's the third largest employer in the country. Think about it. A common man on a daily basis interacts far more with the local retailer, making payments, buying groceries, buying clothes, and other essential items. That is his day-to-day stuff. The entire household, from the little child to the grandfather, is involved in that stuff, whether it's the little boy being sent last minute by his mother to pick up last minute groceries, or the grandfather walking down the street to pick up the daily newspaper. They're all doing microtransactions. They're doing transactions on a daily basis. All households across the country are part of this daily ritual. On the other hand, consumer interaction with the formal sector, whether it's payments for bills, for electricity, for water, for power, for a cell phone, is limited to maybe once a month. Maybe they do some transfers a couple of months, sending money to the friends and family. So this interaction with the formal sector is fairly limited. The local merchant is also where the entire neighborhood comes together. In a small village, that's the entire town, where the entire town congregates together at this local merchant. This is where they go to find gossip, to know what's happening with the neighbor. This is where they find the local news. But this is also where people get short-term loans to cover their groceries or their short-term bills. These businesses are the heart of the neighborhood. They're the beating heart of an individual neighborhood. With such an integral part of the local ecosystem, the question we must really ask ourselves is, how can we make these merchants the part of the main financial inclusion journey? How do we leverage these guys who are such an integral part of the economy to push it forward? Is it really possible that by taking cash out of the system, we can increase the overall velocity of the money and possibly even grow the economy? We must ask ourselves bigger questions if we want to drive bigger impacts. So I put forward to you, why don't we leverage these local merchants to lead financial inclusion? Why don't we make these merchants the cheerleader for digital transformation and digital payments, where they are bringing their consumers into the financial sphere? On a day-to-day basis, these are the players where the most amount of payments happen on a daily basis. But, however, financial inclusion cannot be about putting a POS terminal or a QR at this merchant, but rather about creating core value for these merchants. So they see a reason to go digital. He sees a reason in convincing his consumers to go digital. What we want to do is give these merchants an opportunity to grow, to get access to new capital, consumer, and revenue. Let's be honest. A retailer or a merchant needs capital to grow. This can come from only two sources. Either he manipulates his cash flow such that he pushes out his payments and extends his cash flow, or he gets a bank loan. Sadly, neither one of them is readily available to this merchant. In a country hence the growth of the country is constrained as well. There are bigger implications for all of this across. A local merchant is also limited in his reach to his neighborhood or town. to consumers who live nearby or who are willing to visit him. Now, by giving this merchant a digital presence, we give him an exponential reach, because now not only consumers within his town, but the town next door, or maybe the city next door are aware of them if you price those services. Let's take it a step further. By giving that same merchant access to delivery and online ordering platform, we give this merchant ability to connect with consumers who are not willing to travel to him. This increases his revenue. Then, by giving his consumers access to buy now, pay later services, we're formalizing the entire lending that happens within that merchant. This further increases his revenue and also increases his loyalty, right? Let's take it a step further. What happens if we create a loyalty program for that merchant? Now we add a multiplier effect in what can happen at this merchant. Now, with all of this data, we can then create another layer, which is a merchant lending services, to give these cash-starved merchants a real opportunity to grow. This is Digital 3.0, bringing together the offline world with the digital world and transforming the local landscape. These merchants are no longer exist just in the digital world or the offline world or completely, but they transcend both the digital and offline world, because you can connect with them digitally and go with them offline, or vice versa. At Golooto, we're in the process of building the entire platform to transform not only the local retailer, but the economy at large. We have flipped the entire model on its head and become the first merchant to lead this financial inclusion. We're merchant-led to lead financial inclusion, turn the model on its head. It is about creating an opportunity cost for the merchant that by working in cash, you're robbing not only yourself of growing and additional capital, but the country and economy at large. We as a nation have to understand that there's a cost associated with cash. There's a cost of printing it. There's a cost of transporting it and securing it. When as a merchant, think about it, you start doing more revenue, the bank needs to send two guys with an armored truck with guards to your place. They come, they collect the cash, bundle it up, secure themselves, put on guns. Then they go to the local branch where everything is counted again. Then it has to be transported to the central branch. There is an inherent cost to cash. And when the cash is sitting under your bed, in your till, doesn't have the velocity effect. It doesn't have a multiplier effect. But not only that, think about that. As a merchant, you're always aware that there will be some money missing from your till, because your employee X was just feeling a little generous to himself today. He wanted to give himself a little bonus today. He worked that hard, there's a little bonus to be had. All merchants know this. They would accept 3 to 4%. Why are we letting this go away? The merchant must understand that his competitors, by going digital, have a higher revenue and even more customers, that there's an opportunity cost in going cashless. This has to train and move, and we have to make the migration happen. The more opportunities we can create for a merchant for growth, the bigger advocate we can make them become for cashless economy, create value for them. But here's what I put forward to all of you. This strategy has to be mobile first. We're one of the fastest growing 3G, 4G markets in the world. And we have to utilize this service. It has to be about creating an ecosystem. And more importantly, this has to be led by a FinTech. Because there is no traditional institution that is mobile first or has the cost basis to manage local merchants or is focused on value creation. No bank can go to a local retailer and suddenly change their entire business model saying, you know what, this corner store, I'm going to be able to manage them, create value for them, create them delivery service. It is not going to happen. Or suddenly they become mobile-led. It's not going to happen. This transformation has to be led by a FinTech. But I am not alluding by a long shot that banks do not play value in this, but rather that this can't be led by a bank. This has to be an ecosystem. We have to move away from a siloed approach. It is only by each one of us playing our little roles that we can be transformative. We at Golooto have started to put together the layers and started to connect all the banks, the telcos, the merchants, the consumers. So everyone has an opportunity to play their part. We're putting in the effort to train not only the consumers, but the merchants, that there's a value to move away from cash. Because as a country, we have to be aware that close to 100 million people of our fellow citizens never went to school. We did not train them. So we must train them in other ways so we can give them the multiplier effect. Sadly, as a country, we no longer have the liberty of time for things to work. We must think outside the box, try new ideas and concepts to transform the economy at large. The retail network has to be part of the broader strategy, and we aim to transform it and lead it. So I ask all of you to play your role and play your part in creating value for the merchant, to connect together and really drive value and really drive retail payments and make that the focal point of transformation in our country. Thank you.